Okay, guys, so I'll do like a brief intro. Guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ike MMA podcast. Here with my co-host, David Farrell. And David, it has been really, really hard. Well, I say hard, but trying to get you to to co-host with me is like gold dust. Because our schedules are very, very different.
Yeah,
Really, really different.
yeah, because I usually start early in the early in the
Yeah,
AM, so
yeah,
it could be
yeah.
3, 4. But I'm on some evenings this week, so it's easier. Like tomorrow, I'm not until 2, so that's why I was able to stay up. Because usually I'm in bed by about 9 o'clock if I'm in at 4 a.m. So it's hard.
You
But
know,
and then the evenings you're opposite to me.
yeah, I mean, in my case, I'm a bit lucky. Your mine's in the evenings, in the late afternoon, so I can, at the very least, I can be sure of getting a good night's rest, and I don't have to worry about getting up so early. So, um, for me, I've been saying as well as trying to get you to do the podcast. I know that I can also make some more sacrifices
Yeah.
because I know you've got a lot more going at your end.
Look,
But no,
it is what it is. I enjoyed it last time, so I wanted to get it done. And obviously, whatever happened last night with the phone, the audio, we're here now, though.
UFC Vegas 32 is coming up.
Yeah.
I gotta stop saying I'm all the time. Just become a bad habit. But TJ Dillashaw versus Corey Sandhagen. Now I'll hold my hands up. Who do I think is gonna win? I mean, Corey Sandhagen, the Sandman, how he knocked out Frankie Edgar back in February. Just crazy within the first 30 seconds of the match, just with that flying knee. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was
Um,
unreal knockout.
but what really gets me about this co-main event is that okay, he served his time, TJ Dillashaw, since 2019. He's had that suspension, that ban. Okay, he served his time now, but I've heard some mixed martial arts fighters think it's their opinion that if you've been caught once, you should receive a lifetime ban. And I can understand the logic behind that because for every single match you've been fighting or participating in every competition, um, were you on steroids or were you not? Because that asterisk, as they say, they should have next to your name until you retire from the sport. It kind of there's going to be like a big question mark above your head all the time. People are going to know you for that.
Yeah, especially Cody Garber had said something that he'd been using it for years, and that he was showing how Team Alpha made how to use it and get away with it. But everyone thought it was just trash talk at the time, but obviously it wasn't. Will it hang? He has done it 2 years. I particularly don't like him. Um, there's just something about him I don't like, but he served his time. That's just the way it is. So
Why don't you like him?
I don't know. There's just something about him.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, if someone said to me that Conor McGregor you don't like, I can understand why. Who else can I mention? Michael Beast. I mean, those who tend to be very big mouths and they tend to talk a lot. I can understand why people would say they don't like them. But TJ Dillashaw, even the way he looks quite innocent
and timid. Yeah, I think it was his reaction
Yeah.
against Cody when he started screaming in his face at the end of the fight when he bet him. I don't know. There's just something about him. I think Conor was right in the tough season. I think he is a snake. He knew what he was doing.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. There's just sometimes you just don't like people and you don't really have a reason. I don't know why. It's a weird one, but I just don't like him. But he is unbelievable and has been. But it's like you said, is that now down to the performance enhancers, the EPO? Was that because when he fought Henan Barrow, he was the biggest. I think it still is the biggest underdog ever in a title fight, and he won. And then he bet him again, and then he just went on a run. And I think he bet Dominic Cruz. Well, he didn't beat him, but I thought he bet him in the fight. He lost the decision. And so, who do I think could have been stopped a little bit early? Maybe.
But you see, it was the Cejudo fight that really, I think it was after that fight that he got caught out. So, I mean, for every match from Cejudo and then back to, if you work your way backwards, I mean, you know, when it comes back to the steroids thing, you know, I do wonder, was he on steroids then, or was he not on steroids? Because I mean, you only have to be caught once, and that just tarnishes your whole image and your reputation.
Yeah, it does, and it probably will do. Like you said, people want lifetime ban. I think lifetime is excessive. 2 years is a long time out of sport, though, as well.
But the thing is, it's I hear that, but mixed martial arts, combat sports, I mean, it's different to any other contact sport. I mean, sports, I mean, boxing, any other, you know, sorts of martial arts sports that comes under the umbrella of, you know, we unfortunately have to omit or, you know, physical harm to your opponent to win the competition. Um, you know, you can potentially kill your opponent
Yes,
if you're taken.
if you're on steroids, yeah, that is true. But at the end of the day, we're not a governing body, and I don't think it's ever going to go. I think that they're always going to try and find loopholes. I don't like it, but I wouldn't be an expert on it. But like you said, he could seriously hurt someone, so I don't like it. But there's nothing we can do really. That's your saddest job.
No, I get it. I get that. But then on the flip side, I do hear that there are some steroids that they do. And this, I may sound weird or stupid for saying this, but there are some steroids that these athletes have to take because it improves their recovery time. It helps them be more enduring during the fight, improves their cardio. Because you know when they're preparing for a fight, well, I think one of the biggest or one of the hardest things they have to overcome is making weight. They have to lose. I mean, if they're gonna lose weight to come down to a certain weight class, certain range, they have to, I think, change their diet completely. You know, lose a lot of calories. They've seen the sauna for, I think, long periods of time each day or each week. But there's lots of even excessive, severe things they have to do to just make weight in order to compete.
Yeah, they do, but when they're taking supplements or whatever they need to take, I think they need to be responsible for what they're taking and see what's in it. Obviously, you've had loads of cases where when people have got caught or popped or whatever, that the actual substance wasn't listed on on the item. I think Yoel Romero was the one. He won 26 million, but he'll never see that money because he got popped and it wasn't on it. And when they tested it, it was there. So, like, I know you have to do these things, but I think that's what the problem with weight classes, though, as well, or cutting weight. People cut so much weight, and it's so much pressure on the body that they do need these things to recover. But they need
Yeah,
to,
no, I, I've seen it, you know, at the weigh-ins. You know, just sorry to interrupt you, but
no,
at the weigh-ins, excuse me, when they're standing on the scale, I think there was one particular female athlete, not too recently or too long ago, she was at the weigh-in. I can't remember her name or even the UFC event, but she was standing on the scale. And the thing is that once or twice she actually fainted, collapsed,
yeah,
just couldn't stand up, you know. So,
and they called off the fight. I do remember that. See, it's
mm,
dangerous. It's dangerous cutting that much weight.
yeah.
I think one championship does it. Whatever you kind of walk around that they don't deviate too far from that, and there's no weight cutting.
Yes, I mean, I think that being said, with the severe weight cuts and of course they have to do it in such a short period of time. Could I say there could be an argument made for steroids? I mean, that sounds so ludicrous.
No, it could be. It depends on what they are, I suppose. But obviously, with USADA, they're going to be cracked. Like, they're onto everything. So
Yeah.
there could be, maybe they should stop the weight cutting then, and maybe have fighters fight at their own weight. But then again, if you do that, you look at Conor McGregor. He'd never have that run he had at 145. And you look at other fighters, they wouldn't have had the runs they had if they weren't cutting the weight. So I don't
Do
know.
you think Conor McGregor? Sorry, I got to stop speaking over you.
No, you're fine.
Do you think? Do you think Conor McGregor ever used steroids?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so.
Now that could be, for me, just thinking myself, that could be a silly question, because from what I can see, I mean, I've done some research on this, just looked into it a little bit, and the use of steroids within mixed martial arts, in fact, throughout the whole sporting industry community as a whole, it's rampant. Everyone's using it. The only thing is, just make sure you're smart with it and make sure that you use it at a specific time. So when you're going to be tested by the commission, or wherever you, or whoever, whichever authority, wherever you are in the world, by the time you're tested, all traces of the steroid that you use is completely flushed out of your system, from your hair, bloodstreams, and veins, wherever.
Yeah, true, but they do random tests during fight camps as well, so you could get caught that way. So I'd say the majority of them aren't on it, or they found ways of getting around it.
Guessing around it. Oh, yeah.
Because I think when TJ was actually caught, the EPO wasn't something that was tested for all the time, and I think they just got him on that test. I think I can't say that's 100% true, but I think it's something that they didn't test for all the time.
Yeah. All right. So these two guys, who, I'm gonna be honest, I've seen Corey Sandhagen, the Sandman fight. Well, kind of. He can deliver a good knockout out of nowhere. We saw that in February against Frankie Edgar. TJDILLASHAW, I'm gonna hold my hands up. It's just such in a rush just to set this whole thing up. I haven't, but I haven't really seen any of his past fights. Probably just to kind of gauge what he's like in the cage. I know Corey Sandhagen's very, very agile and light on his feet. So I can see with that flying knee.
Yeah, so is TJ though. TJ is a beast. TJ is really good, really accurate, good Muay Thai. He's very, very good. I don't know. It's a hard one. I think someone's getting knocked out though. I just don't know who. I want to say Corey though.
You think Corey's gonna win?
I think so, but how? I think a knockout, because the two of them are good, but it could go to a decision.
TJ kind of looks, because looking at them, just the size, they really should be going by things such as their stand up and their ground game, stuff like that. TJ kind of like is a bit, let's say, bit more muscular than Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah. I haven't seen him recently, but he is. So obviously without the steroids, I wonder how he's going to look coming into this fight.
Okay. God. For me, if I can make one prediction, who will I go? I'm going to go with Corey Sandhagen.
Me too, and I think it might be a knockout.
Another flying knee.
Hopefully,
you never know these things, but I've made some fight predictions before in the past, and just I'll be shocked at some of the results. I'm gonna look at the highlights, just look at the news coming, or the results coming the following morning, and to just be shocked that actually no, the fight went completely the other way. I had no idea that this person. I think that this person should. I mean, looking at the Overeem versus Volkov fight that happened, is it back in January or March? I thought that Overeem would win, despite the significant age difference. But no, Volkov actually won, because Overeem kind of like, he looks like he has a bit more muscle, so he can pack in a really strong punch, so he can deliver a really strong knockout. But he couldn't even recover in that fight in time to just reassert himself and just continue fighting.
Yes, predictions are 50-50 most. Like, it's very rare that you can get all predictions right.
Yeah.
Except for me last week, when I predicted all the fights for once, but not the finishes.
Really?
That's the tweet I sent you that I predicted.
No, you did. No, you did. Please forgive me. You saying it, you did, yeah, and you're right. You backed up your evidence. You're right. Yes, I didn't even go back and look at all those fights.
It was.
But no,
I didn't get the method right, like the decision or whatever. It was more so just the winner, the outcome that I got right, and I didn't put a bet on it, and I should have.
Yeah, the UFC Vegas 31. Um, it was co-main event, not the main, even though main event, which was Thiago Moises.
Yeah,
This is embarrassing. Versus
Islam.
this is embarrassing actually. Yes, God. What is it about people from that part of the world, Dagestan, that the way they fight just on the ground, they are so good.
They're
We're starting with
just
Khabib, Islam. They're just monsters. They're beasts on the ground. I mean, once they get you on the ground, you're in trouble.
yeah, they're hard to get off. They're really hard to get off. I don't know. It just must be from that part of that part of the world that they're just it's just a different strength, like farmer strength or something. That's just a different strength that once they get you down, you can't get them off. And
Yeah.
he's good on the feet as well. It was a good performance. It was dominant, but it wasn't like he wasn't absolutely. It was one sided, but it wasn't a complete beating, if you get me. But it was good. I think we need to see
I
Islam.
thought,
Sorry, go ahead.
go finish.
I think he needs to get higher ranked opponents to see what he's really like.
Yeah. Okay. I agree. I mean, looking at that fight in the first round, I thought he would finish the fight in the first round. Because he had his opponent on the floor. At one point, it looks like maybe he might get him to just submit, but that didn't happen. I think it looks like just want to take him apart piece by piece, round by round, and finally in the fifth round he got that submission.
Yeah. I think it was the fourth round, was it? Or was it the fifth? Oh, it doesn't matter.
It's 5 rounds, but I think he finished in the fourth
Oh, the
round.
fourth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just wore him down. You could see, I think, after the third round, Thiago looked defeated going back to his corner. I think Michael Bisping said it. That he just looked like, because he's good on the ground and he was getting beaten there. So, like, if you're getting beaten on where you're an expert, what do you do? Like, so it was a good
No, no.
win. It was a good win. He needs a higher ranked opponent. But I think people were avoiding him for a long time. People didn't want to fight him because he was unranked and he was just steamrolling people. But his level of opponent wasn't that high. But until you're ranked, you're not going to get those fights anyways. But now he's got the big hype behind him, so I think he will. I think he got moved up to number 5 in the rankings actually.
I think if it makes any difference or if it counts for anything, I think he is from the same team as Khabib, aka the AKA team in San Jose in California, and I think him and Khabib are cousins, aren't they?
Yeah, Khabib's actually his head trainer. Sorry, I just need to check him. Him and Khabib was his trainer. Khabib was in his corner. Khabib's head is a coach for a lot of them now in AK since he's retired.
Of course. Yeah, definitely he's going to be coaching a lot of people.
Yeah,
29 and of course. Definitely.
everyone's got to
It'd be
want him.
stupid not to get. It'd be stupid not to have him as your coach if you can have him as your coach. Ah, what's happened? Ah, are you all right?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. What happened?
Yeah. Oh, it's just someone woke up here. I woke them up, I think.
All right. So, yeah, I mean that was good fun. I was just kind of recalling just testament to how good those guys are. Just I mean, not just coming from AKA, but that corner of the world, Dagestan, Russia. Yeah, they're really good fighters. They're really good on the ground. They're really, really good wrestlers. Their ground game is you can't compete with that.
Yeah.
Really good.
No, they are. Once they get you down, because even people said about Khabib, if he was fighting or he was training with like light heavyweights, and they struggled to get back up once he got them down. So it's like a different strength. It's like they're superhuman or something. So we'll have to see how it pans out for him. I don't know who I'd like to see him fight next though. He wants to fight Tony.
Tony Ferguson.
Yes.
Tony Ferguson, though Okay, fine. What kind of you kind of made me go to kind of branch off to sidetrack slightly now, but I think that guy they're saying, well, after his most recent loss, I think because of his age and a few other issues on mental health problems and so on, but I think him being the just having a title fight, him being champion of his weight of his particular weight division, it's just not gonna be possible now.
No, I think Islam wants to do it because everyone thought Tony was the guy who would beat Khabib, and because he's like a prototype of Khabib, I think he wants to show the world that Tony wasn't going to beat Khabib. I think that's the idea behind it. I think.
Now I'm branching. Now I'm branching. Now you've given me another thing to think about. Yes, because Tony Ferguson has always wants to fight Khabib. But if he does fight Islam, and Islam wins, will that entice Khabib to come back to the sport just for one more fight, just for one last round to bring 29-0 to 30-0?
What if Tony beats Islam?
Yeah. No. If Islam beats Tony,
I don't.
What's the?
Yeah, I don't think.
No. If Tony, sorry, no. The way you said it before was the right way. If Tony beats Islam, because if Tony beats Islam, will it entice Khabib to come back to the sport?
Possibly, but I don't think so. I think he's done. I think he made a promise to his mother. I think he'll stand by that promise. But he could if Tony beats him. But I can't see Tony beating him. Not after, like, he's changed after Justin Benton. He's changed, like.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
that fight was a fight that should have happened a couple of years ago, but obviously it was cancelled 5 times. 5 times it was cancelled. So it could possibly. But
Okay, I should have looked into this, but I had no idea that. See, you got more knowledge about this than I do. But it was cancelled 5 times. Why?
Khabib got injured the first time. Tony the second time. Khabib had a bad weight cut. I can't remember what the other one was. And then COVID was the last one when he fought Gaethje.
Okay.
So it was either one or the other was injured, or Khabib had a bad weight cut. So it was the fight everyone wanted for years and years, and it got called off 5 times. So
Right.
if they were booked to do it again, it probably wouldn't even happen with the luck they have.
Would we even want to see that fight? Would fight fans want to see that fight?
I wouldn't. I think Khabib would just maul him. I think it. And I like Tony as a fighter and as a person. Like, I like his personality. I like him as a fighter. I think he'd get destroyed. But you never know. But I really think it'd just be one-sided. I think it'd be a mauling.
Because we know already what potentially would happen in that fight. We would think actually it's pointless seeing that fight.
Yeah, I think it would be all Khabib. I think it would be pointless.
I think I'm just trying to picture mentally in my mind. I think you're right. And looking at Tony Ferguson, just what he's like at the moment, no, it probably would not be a good bet for the UFC, and it probably just wouldn't sell pay-per-views.
No, I don't think it'd be competitive. Khabib would sell the pay-per-views, I'd say, with just his name value, but
yeah.
Like, and people would buy it because they want to see that fight, but it's not going to be the fight that it would have been 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Tony's not the same guy after that Justin Gaethje fight. He's just like, after getting a beating like that, it's tough to come back.
Wow. Now, there's a few fights I think we should have covered. You see, God, there's so much to talk about. Yeah. I was going to talk about maybe the Misha Tate fight versus Marion Renault. Did it interest you?
It didn't really up until the night of the fight. It didn't really. I just want to see how she's returning. Obviously, She won. I thought it was going to go to the decision, but she stopped it. So is she going to beat Amanda Nunes though? I don't think so.
Amanda Nunes, I've seen her fights. I can't remember the fights that I've seen of her, especially when she fought. Is it back in 2018 when she fought Chris Cyborg?
Yeah,
that fight, it was crazy.
it was over in
Just
less than
went
a
in
minute.
there
I
and
think,
just
wasn't it? It was.
yeah, just had her on the ground, just knocking her
Like,
fist off like God.
and
It was crazy.
like Cyborg was considered the best women's fighter for years and years. Well, obviously, people thought Ronda was, but they would never cross paths because they're in different promotions. But Amanda Nunes, like, lit her up. Like, and if you look at Amanda Nunes' fights, they're all so one-sided. I don't think she'll be beaten for a while.
She's so domineering in the cage. Really domineering.
Yeah, she is. So I don't know what the plan for Miesha Tate is. Is it a couple more paydays? Does she want to go for the title again? It's hard to tell.
So it kind of pushes me to UFC 264. The basically what it's not a title fight with Poirier and McGregor. It's more of a money fight because I'm sure after whoever wins the fourth round now, the person who loses will still want to fight again with the same person.
Yeah, because then they want to have one over the other one. But I think Dustin is going to go and fight in December. I think he's going to fight Charles for the title.
He's going to fight Charles, or there's talk of him also fighting Nate Diaz.
I seen that. He said at 185.
Diaz. That's another big money fight.
It is, but at that weight class, I don't know if that makes, like, they've never fought at that weight class. Diaz has fought at 170, but I don't know why he said 185. It would be, they were supposed to fight, and I think something happened to Dustin, and then they got pissed off because during the press conference they had a promo for McGregor Khabib, and that pissed Diaz off. And then I think it was Dustin being injured, and then they couldn't go to the fight. That would be a big money fight.
Especially now. I mean, Dustin has stronger name power now. I mean, now that he's been involved with McGregor at least 3 times now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would earn him, whether he wins or even loses, it would earn him a lot of money because the pay-per-view buys would still be really high.
Yes, they would be. So it would be, if he wants the money, that's what he wants to go for. But I think he wants that belt.
Does he? No, I hear what you're saying about the belt. I mean, before UFC or not after UFC 257 when he won against McGregor, I think Oliveira actually how did it happen? I think Oliveira sent him a DM on Instagram or was it Twitter, but contacted him anyway somehow and asked him or mentioned about the title bout fight, and Poirier didn't reply. He actually wants to have a fight with McGregor.
He wanted the trilogy.
Which of course, yeah. So I think the reason why I say that I'm not kind of dismissing the Oliveira fight at all is just I know that's still on the card, still on the table. But what I'm saying is that at the moment now, I think Poirier is making a smart business decision, but by just making sure that he's using this situation, capitalizing on it, just to make sure that he can earn as much money as possible.
Yeah, he is using it to make, because that obviously 2 fights with McGregor, his name power is going to be the highest it's ever been, and then you go in with Nate, who also got the rub off Conor, and got everything. So if the 2 of them come together, it would be big. It would actually be interesting to see, because Diaz, he's like a zombie. He just keeps coming forward. Like, only one who's knocked him out, Josh Thompson, knocked him out, and that was I think they threw
Josh
the towel
Thompson.
in. They threw the towel in on him.
And his brother Nick threw in the towel.
Yeah,
those 2 are like this.
Yeah, they are.
God, very close. So yeah, what else was I going to say about the UFC 264? Yeah, so it's like one bit leads to another. So after that UFC 264, I mean, it's kind of like a silly question, but do you think that the fourth fight? Do you think a fourth fight is on the cards?
Yes, I do.
I just asked the
I do. I do think it is. I think if Conor wants it, he'll get it. And Dana said straight after a fight can't end like that. So I think it's
Of
going to
course,
happen.
because then I understand why Dana White would say that, because hey, Dana White can be the middleman making a lot of money, so of
Yeah.
course he's gonna be more than happy to, even if he says it through tears, through smiles, whatever, he's gonna be more than happy to say yes. And I get that completely. But after the fourth round, do you think we're gonna see a fifth round? Because I saw a meme of these two guys at UFC, is it 500, whatever it is, and now
Yeah.
they're old, like they're looking at their 50s or 60s, and that's to sound funny, like I get that, but I can see kind of the logic behind it, because I keep fighting this person, I keep fighting that person. If you lose, you know, you have to do it again. So, like you said before, one of them has to have that one win or that power over the other person, so that one of them actually just has had enough, basically. But as they're fighting and fighting, they each person making a lot of money, because they by you know, as they're fighting and fighting, their name power is getting higher and higher, and bigger and bigger.
I don't want to see it though. I don't know. People will though. Everyone will want to watch McGregor, but it doesn't interest me. I think he was getting beaten in that fight. Not to say he couldn't have come out and won in the second round. It's unlikely, but he could have. But I don't really want to see it. I want to see Conor maybe fight someone else before he goes back for Dustin.
David, I can understand that the fight can't finish that way, but how can you merely stand on your leg, and your leg, just the lower half of your lower leg, just more or less collapses like that? What mean? It must mean the fact that your leg couldn't bear your weight, your own body weight. How could that happen? I mean, does it mean your bones are rotting on the inside? What's going on?
They're saying he had a pre-existing injury. But like there's so many things coming out. He had this, he's that arthritis in his ankles, he's that, was it just a freak thing that happened? What did it happen during the fight? I think people are pointing out there's a couple of checks or where he hit the knee or he hit the elbow where it could have softened up, and then when he missed that or coming back, it was awkward and it went. It was freaky.
Because that's what I'm saying. Because if you just look at it, it just looks like you're just merely just getting back up or recovering, reasserting or repositioning yourself, and then you're getting ready to go on the offensive again. Then suddenly your leg just gives way like that. It's like, God, what the hell's going on? I mean, you're
Yeah.
going,
No, it was a strange way to end it, but I don't know. It was strange because I didn't realize in real time watching it, I didn't realize that had happened. I thought he just got dropped with a punch and then he covered up, and I went, what just happened there? And then when obviously like the round ended and you could see it, and then you was like, oh, that's why he just went down and covered up. But I don't know how it happened, but it happened. It shouldn't end like that, but I don't know. I don't think.
well, UFC 257, their second bout, okay, that probably ended the way a fight should end, with a knockout.
Yeah,
He lost that fight. Now, in this case, for this fight, some of my friends I talked to a lot about mixed martial arts, and I don't know if it was you or someone else I talked about the sport, but someone said that the fight, more or less, I mean, no, not more or less, but in their own opinion, they said they would prefer the no contest because of the way his leg broke and the way the fight had to be stopped.
I think I'm not sure what the ruling is, or it should be on that. I know people are saying it should be no contest, but I think when it happened to Silva, I don't think it was no contest. Weidman obviously won the belt, and I think if they look and say he done damage to the leg during the fight, then obviously not that was part of his game plan, but it was a part of the fight that then caused that injury. So therefore, he is the winner. But there will be a fourth. 100% there's going to be a fourth.
No, I get, okay, fine. Let's give me a fourth fight, because I can see now there's a score to be settled, and that just adds to the hype of the fight, and we love that.
Yeah, because
What if
Oh, go on.
What if Conor? No, go on. So I
No, you
keep
go.
interrupting.
No, you
Sorry.
go on. You go on. You go on. Wait.
UFC 178. He looks, he won. He looked really cocky in the cage as well. I went back and looked at the fight at least several times. I rewatched that fight from 2014, and he was really cocky. He was kind of making his gestures, look at Dustin, just trying to piss Dustin off. I was saying, what's this stuff? What's this you're doing with your legs? And what did you call this fighting and stuff? He won that fight, UFC 257. He lost that fight, and quite in an embarrassing way, because everyone's just saying, this guy, I mean, what's going on? You're not the same person you were all those years ago. I mean, what's going on, Conor? You didn't do what you're supposed to do when you walked in that cage. You lost. You're supposed to win. The third time now, UFC 264. You still lost, Conor. What if the same thing happens again in the next bout?
Well,
For the
then
fourth time.
Then the score is definitely settled, because Conor sees it as 1-1 still, I would say. So if Dustin beats him, then it's in his head it should be 2-1. And then if that happens, I don't know where you go from there. You've got Nate Diaz trilogy, but I don't think it'd be smart for him to fight him straight away again.
For Conor McGregor?
To fight Dustin. I don't
No,
think
no,
so.
of course. I get that. He used to go away. He used to go away with his team, with Coach Kavanagh and the rest of his friends and his teammates, and just go back to the drawing board and just see what they have to do, because a lot of people are saying that maybe this guy needs to retire. Maybe the spark for fighting, he's lost it. He's kind of in the UFC 257, he's trying to show off how much of a boxer he is. Stuff like that. People are saying maybe he needs to retire. I was just surprised at the reaction from the community. A lot of people just so much negativity just because of this one loss. I was like, wow. I mean, I understand he lost the fight, but okay, fine. That was just one loss. He's won more fights than he's lost.
And then look who he's lost at. Dustin twice. Obviously, if you want to disregard the last one, you can. Khabib's 29-0. It's not as if he's losing against nobodies. I just don't think he's at the elite level anymore. I think he took too much time away from the sport, and people caught up on him. Like, if you watch the Eddie Alvarez fight, that's probably one of the best performances by him when he won the lightweight belt. But the spark could be gone. Like, you've that much money. Why do you want to fight?
Well, you have a lot of money, but I mean, from what I can see, he's that fighter that, from what I can see, he's one of those guys that, and he did this last year when the pandemics really started. He said that he's retired. I remember him. Was it just towards beginning of summer? I remember seeing YouTube videos of the thumbnail saying he's retired, this, that he's done this and that. And a few weeks later, he says, he's making noise about basically wants to fight again. I was thinking, but you just said you retired. You've done this before. You say you're retired, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, you start screaming and shouting about just, you're not even saying that you're coming out to fight, but you just automatically just say you want this fight with this person or that person, and it's like, make up your mind. What does he want to do?
I think it's a power play, because he's done it 3 times now. I think 2 or 3 times. That when he doesn't get his way, he goes, right, I'm retired, see you later, and then they come back to the table and figure something out. I think it's power play, because he knows how many viewers he brings in, how much money he brings in. So I think it could be a power play when he does that.
God, I hate when people do that. Just mess with your head. It's like, okay, fine, you retired, go away and enjoy your success and your millions, all the business ventures that you've now set up, and that you're involved in. That is now making money for you and for your children. Excuse me. So I hate when people do that. Just make up your mind. But I think at the same time, I'm sure he enjoys the hype.
Yeah, I think it's just to keep his name in everyone's mouth.
Yeah, no, of course. Because I heard in this sport, you got to not like do it severely or excessively, but you got to keep yourself relevant in the headlines or so.
Yeah, so when he's not fighting and he's out for long periods of time, he says something, And then as soon as he says something, it just goes viral and spirals, and people talk about it for 2 or 3 weeks when nothing's really happened.
Yeah, no, I know. With him, he's got that power. He's earned that privilege. I can see that. See why he does that. He can get away with it.
Yeah. So and then
And I'm not hating.
You're not hating. I don't like when he does it.
I'm not hating. I mean, if you've kind of done what you need to do to build yourself up in the sport, particular activity, then yeah, I can understand how you can get away with doing certain things that other people who are doing the same sort of thing you're doing can't really get away with. I get that.
And he gets let away with a lot. So, but he brings in the eyes, he brings in the money, so he's got a little bit more leeway than most other fighters.
No, he's Dana White's golden boy. He's the UFC's golden boy. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. God. All the top names in the organization, George St. Pierre, Khabib, this guy, $130 million. Probably even more by now.
Oh yeah, he will be
Worth more.
He,
Go on.
no, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry.
So yeah, but I mean, I'm still thinking about, if he does lose the fourth round. I mean, I haven't forgotten what he said in the cage after he lost. He was sitting that
in the last fight. Yeah. Sorry.
No, not UFC 257, UFC 264, with a broken leg, just sat there next to Joe Rogan while he's being interviewed by Joe Rogan, the microphone's in his face, and as Poirier just walking out, still has to say something, which of course, I take it that he's just trying to save face. That's why he's saying what he's saying, oh, your wife's in my DMs, and this isn't over, this isn't blah, 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 blah. He actually made a gesture with his hand, so he's going to kill his family. to Dustin. Wow. The guy really is God, he's something else sometimes.
Yeah, I think that was a bit much. I don't think they should have interviewed him though. I really don't think they should have interviewed him after breaking your leg. But he was speaking anyways. Those gun gestures and what he said he was going to kill them in their sleep and stuff is too much. I think there's fight promotion and trash talk, and then there's stuff you don't bring into it. And I think you don't bring that into it. I think you leave the families, the religion, politics, you leave that out. It was a bit too far, I thought. And Dustin handled it well, I thought.
Yeah. But you're not the only one that has that opinion. I think some other fighters, although I mean, fine. Ronda Rousey actually said on Twitter that she was impressed how immediately, just mere seconds after this fight ended, already he's selling the next fight, more or less. She was actually impressed that he had the balls, the bottle to actually say what he said. Fine, granted he went overboard, but what he's saying, of course, sells the next fight. It gives you the impression that already builds up the hype that there's something else along the lines, and there's going to be another fight that this isn't over, basically, and getting mixed up there. But yeah, like you said, he really shouldn't have. He should have kept all that stuff out of it. But as regards to the interview, some people do agree with you that it was wrong for Joe Rogan and for the production team to interview him there and then after losing and having that injury to his leg. It really wasn't the best time. They should have done it probably after, maybe a day later or so, after he's had surgery and now recovering. That would have been the best time to interview the guy.
Yeah, it would be. Like, imagine breaking your leg, frustration after training for this fight for so long, and then he was probably full of adrenaline. I think Ronda is right. I think he did want to set up the next fight straight away. I think that was part of the game plan. But you can imagine how frustrated he was with how it ended, all the time and effort he put in it, and then that happened. So it could have been just a frustration. like I said, I don't think they should have interviewed him. But Joe Rogan has a habit of doing that. After he said he'd never interview anyone again after they've been knocked out, and then he continues to do it. So
Joe Rogan's one of those people that is like he's a troll in disguise. Kind of like he how should I say, he kind of like likes bad situations, but it isn't obvious at first.
I think so.
You put it that way.
I,
He's kind of like Darren Till, but again, Darren Till make it obvious to you that yes, he likes awkward things and bad situations. But Joe Rogan's kind of like, I do like that as well, but you're not gonna know it now, but you're gonna know probably when you least expect it.
I don't know. I think I, I don't know. Joe Rogan's a hard one to judge, but because he says one thing sometimes and he does another. But I think Dana and I think everyone would have wanted him to get that interview that night.
Of course, no, of course. Yeah, no, definitely. Unfortunately, even as human beings, not to sound weird and everything, but yeah, everybody would want to know just how you feeling. The guy that talks himself up, is rude, offensive, runs his mouth, stuff like that. Just when you're getting a taste of your own medicine at the extreme ends,
Yeah,
how does it feel? How does it feel? And I get that. Um, Nick Diaz too, and Robbie Lawler. No, I say Nick Diaz too. No, Robbie Lawler versus Nick Diaz rematch, basically what it is.
from 17 years ago,
2004, which
2004.
is
Yeah.
17 years ago. You're right. You're right.
I don't know how excited I am for it. Nick hasn't fought in 5, 6 years. He hasn't had a
A
win
long while now.
in 10. And does he still have it in him? Does he want to fight? Obviously, he thinks he wants to fight, but will he still have that fire that he had that long away from the cage? Is that going to be? I know people say sometimes it doesn't. You don't suffer from ring rust, but the sport evolves, and especially now, it's so much more technical than it was through the years. Like he's kind of like Nate, though. You might not put him down. But I think it was a good choice with Robbie because Robbie he's weathered. He's had a lot of wars. So I think it was like rather than give him someone up and coming, someone young, someone hungry, give him someone, and then people do have interest because it's dream match.
Yeah, like there's unfinished business.
Yeah, exactly. But Nick won the first one, so we'll see if Robbie can get the second one back, and then there might be a trilogy.
Thing is, I'm not sure if it means anything. Robbie Lawler, if I'm not mistaken, has lost his past 3 or 4 fights in the UFC.
Yes, he has. Yeah, he has. One was Ben Askren though, which
Yeah, I watched that fight, and I think at the beginning it looks like Ben Askren was taking some serious abuse from Lawler in terms of getting punched in the head, the face, every while he had him on the ground. And then towards the end, I think Askren just changed the whole thing and just managed to get a submission.
yeah, there was controversy around that though, because he pulled his hand up nearly straight away after it dropped, after it was called, and he said he wasn't out. So he has, like I said, he's lost. I think three. Is it three in a row? Might be three.
Looking at his record right now, so no, 4 fights in a row. I mean, you could say 5 fights in a row because before the last 4 fights that he lost, the fight he had against Donald Cerrone at UFC 214 in 2017, he won that fight. But the fight before that one in 2016 against Tyron Woodley, he lost. So I could say maybe his last 5 fights, you could say.
Yes, that's
Um,
5 out of 6. So it's not a good record going into a fight. But I think that's why Nick is a good fight for him. He's been out a while. He's not going to be someone who's up and coming, or he is someone who's been out for a while, so it might be a bit more favorable than someone who's active all the time, I think.
no, I get that. And Could I make this point? Could I say this? Okay, let me say it, and I may get bashed by people, whatever. But this is my own opinion. I mean, they fought each other before. It was a long while ago now, but surely, despite whoever lost or won that fight, they would have at least had a good taste of what the other person's fighting style is like, so they know kind of what to expect to a degree.
Yeah, they would. Nick is always going to be the same. He likes to punch, but he's black, but he's good, really good on the ground. Robbie likes to have wars, so I think it'll be more of a stand-up fight. Um, they will know each other. It is from years ago, and they're two like 17 years ago. Like I'm not actually sure the ages on the two of them, but like if it's
I
17,
think Lawler's 39. Diaz is Nick Diaz. He's 2 years older than his brother. He's soon going to turn 38. I think his birthday is going to be on the 2nd of August.
okay, so
So Robbie Lawler's 39. So they're about the same age.
yeah, that's one thing. Is there really going to be much? There is Nick. There's always interest with Nick Diaz. I don't think it's going to be like in 17 years. A lot would have changed. They're older. They're not
Yeah,
going to
no,
be as
definitely, yeah.
fast. So, and it's 5 rounds as well, non-title fight again. Nate had one with Leon. I don't know why this one's a five
Is it going to
rounder.
be a main event fight?
No, it's not main event. It's a non-main event, non-title 5 rounder, like Nate versus Leon Edwards. For some reason, I have no idea why.
So basically, let me understand this as someone who's, I still consider myself to be very much a novice. Um, so if it's a non-title fight, um, usually it's not going to be a co-main or main event unless maybe if one of the fighters is a big name in the sport.
That'd be 5 rounds. Nate Diaz was the first one to have the Nate Diaz Leon. That was the first time it's ever happened.
Wow. Right.
This so it's the
Okay.
two Diaz brothers getting 5 rounders. I've no idea why. Obviously, I thought with Nate it was obviously because he's such a big star and he wasn't in the main event or doesn't have a title that they gave him that. So you'd get 5 rounds of him if it lasted that long. I don't know why they're giving it to Nick though.
No idea. Maybe just one of those exceptions that Dana White is letting them have.
Because of
So I mean, I'm still learning a lot about this sport, so
so am
that's
I.
not asking,
No,
asking you.
that's so am I though. I'm only watching it about 4 or 5 years. I still have a lot of catching up to do as well from before. Um, I don't know why it's 5 rounds, but I don't know. It might go to 5 rounds.
Maybe. I mean, there's. I think the fight is rumored at the moment, isn't it?
No, I think it's signed. I think it's signed. I'd have to double check that. I think it is signed.
Oh, let me check it right now. Come on. So I got my tablet here. Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler.
I think it's September.
It is, yeah, UFC 266. You were right. Sunday, 5th of September this year. So it is gonna happen, yeah.
Yeah, and five
Yeah.
rounds. So I think he'll bring in he'll bring in eyeballs because they love him, even though he hasn't fought for so long. They hit the 2 days brothers. They're like cult stars.
What is it about the Diaz brothers that makes them, you know, in any fight that they compete in? I've seen this with Nick, with him fighting Leon Edwards and Josh Thompson back in 2013. Even though they lose, they'll still get boos to the other person that beat them. There seems to have this sort of cult following.
It's because they don't give a fuck. I think I think people like their personalities. And I think it's just because they don't care. They're like the anti-establishment. So I think that's what people, it's because basically Nick and Nate be like, would tell Dana like fuck you, and I think everyone would love to tell their boss fuck you, and I think that's why people like them.
No, I get that, and I have to say that I respect people like that because they're honest and realistic and they're real. You know, if they're your friends, they're going to be very loyal to you and
Yeah,
show the same respects in return. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense to me. Now, if I was to make a prediction about this fight, if I was to put my money on it, I would say the fight would go the same way. Nick would still take the win a second time.
I think so too, but I think it might be by decision though.
Really? So you don't think it's going to be a knockout? They're going to fight to the bitter end.
Or maybe their chins be weak, but I don't know. I just can't see it being, because they're so much older. I can't see them hitting as hard, as fast. And then with Nick being off for so long, does he need to get back into a groove? Robbie's on the skid that he's on. It might not be the fight everyone expects. It could be, but it might not be. I think there's so many years to ring rust. It just won't. It won't. I don't think it's going to be the fight everyone thinks it's going to be.
Yeah. No, I hear that. I hear that. I can understand that because each one has got. I mean, Lawler has got what 5 fights that he's lost. So and what Diaz has been away from the fight for a long while, from the sport from a long while. Excuse me. So each person's coming with their big disadvantages and big obstacles that they've got to get over.
Yeah, see, that's why
But
it's perfect for them to fight each other. I think it was the right fight to make.
but let's wait and see what happens. I mean, the fight's been signed and confirmed. I hope, fingers crossed, nothing, as in, I hope neither one of them gets sick with the COVID virus or one of them has to pull out. And I just hope the fight doesn't get scrapped or pulled for any reason.
Me too. Diaz don't really pull out of fights though. Very rarely. Nate got the last one postponed for a month, but they don't really pull out no matter what. But like I said, if COVID or something happens, obviously that's you have to. But I can't see it being scrapped.
Yeah.
Hopefully, now that I've said that, it probably will be scrapped. I probably just jinxed it.
Uh, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to talk about. How about yourself?
The Anderson Silva, Logan Paul.
Yes. Sorry, I nearly forgot about that. Yes. The two people, especially one of them that I just cannot stand, Jake Paul. I nearly forgot about that.
No, oh yeah. You don't like Jake, but Logan's not as bad.
Logan Paul seems okay, but he still has that immature tendency to him as well. But I mean they're brothers, so whatever the other one does, the other one's going to defend his brother to the core.
Yeah, true. How would you feel about the fight if it was to happen?
Okay, for me, Anderson Silva probably, he said before when he left the UFC and when he was sacked from the UFC after losing his last fight of the UFC, he went to one championship. It was one championship, wasn't it? Right, because he went to another promotion, they still turned him down.
Oh yes,
So he
yes,
turned to boxing.
yes.
And that was one championship. So he turned to boxing.
Yeah,
And because one of the things he said is that even though he's been cut from the UFC, he loves fighting. He doesn't want to stop fighting at all. And what he's now is mid to late 40s. For me, this for Anderson Silva, probably wants to he wants to stay active. That's great, despite his age, although you can't beat father time. But at the same time, of course, I'm sure he wants to be earning still that big salary, that good money. For Logan Paul, I think basically just adds to for him and his brother, just adds to the hype around his name and just helps build his name within the combat sports world, especially where boxing is concerned. So, but I mean, still, I want them, especially Jake Paul, to go up against an elite level fighter. I mean, Logan Paul fought Floyd Mayweather recently in an exhibition fight. But I mean, if that was a proper boxing match, despite Floyd Mayweather's age, I mean, I think I think Floyd Mayweather definitely would have won.
Yeah, I think so too. With Logan, I don't see they can't really fight anyone elite. Like even in boxing, I know that what they're doing is they're fighting names, but not elite names. They're getting good money. Like I said, I
Yeah,
think this is a bubble that's going to burst in a year or two. But every fighter starts off low level, low level, low level. If they can't go in against someone an elite boxer because they're just going to, like you said before, I think someone's going to get seriously hurt. Um, See, I think this is an opportunity for Anderson to make a bit of money, but I'm also wondering there was good sales for Logan and Floyd, but who brought that in? Was it more Floyd or was it Logan? Is there going to be as much money for this? Obviously, there's not going to be as much money, but the eyeballs going to be on it now that Logan, I think, is 0-2 in boxing. No, he was 0-1, and then that was an exhibition. Um, I don't know. I just want to see Anderson get paid.
mm. Yeah, yeah. Me too. Because I mean, I respect Anderson Silva because he has had a long record for. He's a proper excuse me. He's a proper combat sports athlete, but still, despite having a license to be a license to represent yourself as a professional boxer, excuse me. Well, I still do not regard the Paul brothers as professional boxers. Sorry, until they've actually competed against a proper elite level boxer, that is when I will consider them to be elite. I will consider them to be professional boxers. That that is when I will, eventually take that stance.
I think Jake might. I don't think Logan will. I think Logan will just try and get names, and I think Jake might try his hand at. He won't go elite, but he'll go against professional actual boxers, and then we'll see. But I don't think he's going to go elite start. He's going to go low. Depends on what happens with Tyron Woodley, obviously. But I think Jake wants to make more of a go of it than Logan. So he
Mm.
says. So by his training, I think Logan's just in it. He's big names, big money, cash grab. Whereas I think Jake seems more serious. But it'd be a while before they fight someone elite, or Jake fights someone
Yeah,
elite.
because for me, I mean, okay, I said that I still don't like either one of them, especially Jake Paul that much. But I mean, Jake Paul for me is the guy that really cares about his image a lot. So I mean, if this fight Tyron Woodley, if Tyron Woodley knocks him out and does so in classic KO style, I think maybe even though there's a rematch clause in the contract which he demanded, I think it might just after he'll say no, I've had enough. I mean, if he gets knocked out in the first fight and then has a rematch, gets knocked out again in the second fight, Woodley gets paid, gets a big purse
Twice.
twice because the hype will be even more after the first fight, after the first match. So I mean, for Jake Paul, it's going to look really, really embarrassing. And he kind of reminds me of the person in school who was like the high school bully, and just their image was the only thing they had, basically.
Yeah, I think so. I think it depends on the knockout. I think if it's like a decisive taking your head off knockout, I think he might not go back for the second fight. Um,
Mm,
but if it's competitive, he might. It depends. That's when we'll be able to judge see how serious he is about boxing. If he loses and then he wants to come back and fight Tyron again,
mm. Oh, August 29th. It can't come soon enough.
you just want to see him
Yeah.
knocked out.
I don't like the guy. I still can't fathom or get my head around how he just burst onto the combat sports scene, just especially boxing, just like that. And then he goes around just disrespecting all as many athletes as possible, just disrespecting the MMA athletes. Fine, they don't get paid well enough in the biggest mixed martial arts promotion in the world. So he just entices them to come over to my sport, whereby he knows they can only use their fists, really. They can't use every other skill they have in their arsenal, punches, takedowns. They can't do that in boxing. In boxing, you have to be really smart with your feet and your fists.
Yeah, I think he's picked him well. That's why. But Tyron's going to be a different story. He can knock you out, and he's training with Floyd. Um, but he just burst on. He just is his name value. He pisses people off to a point where they want to beat the
Yes,
shit out of him.
yes.
and then everybody wants these people to beat the shit out of him. So everyone's going to watch to see if this person
And
is actually.
overall, he's going to have his supporters and haters then combined. It just sells pay-per-views. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
This is one of the first times I'm saying, and he knows exactly what he is doing.
It's what Floyd Mayweather
My
done for
God.
years. It's what Floyd
Pardon?
done for years. It's what Floyd Mayweather done for years. People wanted to see him get beaten so badly that they tuned in or they loved him. Same with Conor McGregor as well. People love him or they hate him. There's no in between. There's no people are like yes or no. Like I want him to win or I want him to get knocked out. So he knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, let's wait and see what happens. I mean, Tyron Woodley is. I like him. You know, he doesn't run his mouth, doesn't shoot his mouth, unless, of course, if the other person has asked for it, then they get what's coming to them. But in this case, I really hope that Jake Paul gets what's coming to him. But let's just wait and see what happens. The last few polls that I put on my Instagram, I don't know if you saw in my stories, and I had just the picture of the promotion. I put a poll asking who's going to win. Some people actually said Jake Paul's going to win. Jake Paul, has some size. He has some size and some height over Tyron Woodley, but does he have the sort of skills and even experience in combat sports that Tyron Woodley has?
Not professionally, but like you even said a few minutes ago, Tyron can't use all the arsenal that he has, all the skills that he has.
Yeah.
So, and like you said with boxing, it's kind of not tunnel vision, but it's very one-sided. It's very one-sided. So I don't know. It's going to be a hard one. It's going to be a hard one to see. But like you said, I think it might be more competitive than people think. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. All right, David, I think we should wrap it up.
Perfect.
Yeah. Next time I need to make more of an effort in getting my points done properly, setting Zoom up properly. God, I can't believe I wasted 20 minutes of the time just turning on my sound at my end. God. But should we do this again?
Yes, we will.
All right. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully the next episode will be much more, let's say, scheduled on time. And please tune in for the next episode. All right.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Thanks.